The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Lynden Fire, Washington, job number 30518. Please utilize this number when referencing your vehicle. Let's get started on the front bumper. In the front bumper, there are two air horns on the right and left side. There are also a right and left-hand electronic sirens. There are two closed hooks at the very top for towing or attachment points. Also, there is a lift-open storage compartment for hose in the center of the bumper. And on each right and left-hand side in the front bumper, there are emergency lights. Moving up to the center here, this is an 1.5-inch discharge port for your front discharge. Looking at the outside, this is your light cluster for low and high beam headlights. Moving up from that is the right and left turn indicators. And just inside in the same cluster are two emergency lights. There are 3 windshield wipers that span across the large area of the front windshield. You can see a close-up of the air horn and the electronic siren. And here is a close-up of the headlights and the emergency light cluster. At the very top, you have 5 running lights. In the center, there is a floodlight. At the very top, there is a full spectrum light bar. Mounted in center of that light bar is an opticom. To the right-hand side, you have a front and midship, or I should say mid-cab emergency light. There are markers on both right and left-hand sides. In addition, with grab handles for entry and exit of the vehicle. This is your shore power, 110 shore power. And just to the right of that is your intake for your air chuck for air. There's also a visual tank fill to give an idea of the level of your tank, starting at the very top with it being full, green, moving to blue, yellow, and then red, flashing red to indicate that your tank is soon to be empty. You also have front and rear door locks keyed. This is the inlet shore power, which is a 120 VAC 20 amp plug. This is the auto eject air inlet for your side panels. Looking at a generalized view of emergency lights on your apparatus, you have some in the front, midship, and at the very back. These are the 2 marker lights, both front and midship. And looking at the very bottom underneath are the locations for storage for wheel chocks. We'll get a little closer in-depth look at behind these panels as we start to move forward, but I want to call out the attention of those as we continue to move forward. At the very top is an adjustable telescoping floodlight, and in the back there is a fixed floodlight. This is the adjustment twist knob to loosen, raise the light, and then twist to lock again. You have substantial cross-lay storage pre-connected. Let's start with the pump panel. At the upper left-hand corner is the vacuum, and this is your discharge gauge. And just beneath that are the right and left side of that are the vacuum and pressure gauges. You also have a indication check engine light. Moving to the right, there is an audible alarm. Moving to the right of that is the Pierce governor system for throttle control of your apparatus. In addition, with a light cluster, and we'll get more in depth into that also, we're drawing out just the attention. This is your fire pump. This is the water level indicator. And I misspoke, that was the primer.
This is your recirculating line. Moving across, you have a variety of different warning and caution labels. I'd definitely pay close attention to those and read those. This is your recirculating line and your tank to pump line. This is a placard that indicates the pump test for 150 all the way up to 250 psi. This is the intake to the main pump. This is the main pump drain. On the left-hand side is the drains. You'll see these twist pull levers that are predominantly drains. This is an intake for 2.5-inch intake. Once again, you have 4 across the bottom for drain valves. They are color-coded to the actual discharge port. Manual pump shift lever. And at the very bottom, you'll see the Watrous information placard as to the type of pump that you have. Okay, we'll look at the very top up here at the left. You have number 1 cross lay, number 2 cross lay, a 2.5-inch cross lay, and an additional 2.5-inch cross lay. As you can see, they're color coded. Discharge number 1 is red, and then discharge number 2 is orange, and large diameter passenger is green. Take note of those. This is a wheel valve for large diameter passenger side discharge. Once again, this is a wheel valve for your deluge discharge, colored in pink, which coincides with the gauge. Looking across this side, this is your driver's rear discharge, and this is your primer fire pump. This is the push to prime Trident air prime. This is your water level indicator, starting with E in empty all the way up to the green light in full. This to the right here is your engine cooler. It is a quarter turn to open, quarter turn to close. This is your Pierce throttle control for pressure control. This is also the indication for your pump lights, your pump and gauge, and all your different rocker switches for lights. Looking at the bottom of the pump, you have an open tub for hose. Also take quick note, the job number listed at the top, 150 psi pressure, 200 psi pressure, and 250 psi pressure with the RPMs associated with those. It also lists your governed speed and to pump in the direct drive fourth. Once again, Watrous plaque or identifier. Looking up at the very top, you've got some additional hand grab rails. Covered in the plastic was the steps for protection. This is just a generalized side view of the apparatus with the roll-up doors. You have a variety of adjustable shelves, both up and down, vertically and horizontally. You also have lit backgrounds also for ease of access, and these are roll-out compartment doors at the very bottom. Push the top of this lever down, which will access the drawer to move outward. There's, as you can see, the strip lighting LED on the right-hand side throughout all of your compartments. Let's start at the left bottom. This is your DEF level for fueling. And at the very top and at the rear are the SCBA or bottle storage. And at the very rear is the ultra-low fuel. Once again, an emergency light on your left-hand side and also on the right-hand side. You have plenty of adjustable shelving. To the rear, you also have adjustable shelving and the pull-out shelf. Looking at the rear of your apparatus, you have 4 emergency lights to the rear. At the very bottom, you have the brake cluster of lights. From that below there is the right and left turn indicator. At the very bottom of that is the reverse backup lights. And as you can see, there are a variety of light steps to ensure safety. These light up for you. They're also activated from the left-hand side of the cab there. You can see covered in the orange plastic is the steps, and at the very top you have 2 additional floodlights. Raising up to the very top of that, you have 2 running lights to the rear. Also have non-LUT reflective reflectors on the very bottom, and across the very bottom in the step there are 3 running lights. Looking at the right-hand side, there is a compartment to open to access your ladder storage, and on the left-hand side there is a 2.5-inch discharge port. These are the switches that operate the lighting for your steps, in addition with the lights for the upper section of the bed. Once again, you have right and left and top side grab handles. You also have a grab handle in the lower left-hand section, dividers in the center and midst of the apparatus. You have a 24-foot and a 14-foot roof ladder. Above that, you have a 10-foot attic ladder, and above that, you have long or pike pole storage. Looking at the bottom of the apparatus underneath, you have LED lights, both on the right and left side, and mounted in the center is a closed attachment point. This is your light cluster, with at the very bottom being the reverse, tail, and brake, and just above that an emergency light. These are the access points for the scene lights and the hosebed lights. These switches can be activated also from in the cab. Moving to the top of the apparatus, you have 2 twist locks to gain access into the long storage on the very top. You also have movable hose racks in the back. As you can see, once it's lifted up, there is access lights for ease of seeing things. These are the lights that are controlled at the very back of the apparatus. This is your access for top water to get into your tank. This is a light on the very top to illuminate this area for work. As you can see on the right hand side, this is your master stream device. At the very top, take note, this is a no step or hazardous area for walking. Looking at the right hand side of your apparatus, you have a variety of emergency lights, both upper and lower, in addition with marker lights on the front and mid cab. You also have marker lights on the very rear of the apparatus. We'll get a little bit more in depth into the inside of the compartments here in the next few images. The 2 things we just indicated there is your front flood and rear floods. These are the 2 locations for long bottle storage. Once again, you have handrails on both right and left side for ease of access. This is a visual water level indicator that we mentioned earlier. It's the same on the opposite side. You have additional step lights or work lights for accessing this area. On the left-hand side there, you have the large diameter intake, and on the right-hand side is your large diameter discharge. Moving also is the 2.5-inch discharge. You can see on your right-hand side, this is the tilt for your apparatus cab front. At the very bottom, there are additional drains, which are also color-coded to the actual ports that are being used. In addition, you have a low tub sunk in for hose. In the rear of the compartments, you have adjustable shelving, and once again, a pull-out shelf on the very bottom. In the center, you have a open pegboard, which allows you to mount tools on both sides of the pegboard, and it also rotates out. This is going to be your rear storage for long bottle. Once again, bottle storage. You have adjustable shelving. Over the cab section here, you have additional long hose storage for pre-connected hose. In that same vicinity, this is caution labels also indicating for the raising and lowering of your cab. This is a section where you would gain access to read that information and lift the cab. This is the activation switch, and then on the other side is the raise or lower. Take note of the emergency information on the door for warning and caution labels. Also take note that this is where the Pierce manufacturing label is also located. We'll take a little bit closer look at the label here at your Pierce Manufacturing. This is the information that provides you the manufacturer date, which is May 2017. It also indicates your job number 30518TR-01. It also gives you information on weights, tire limits, and chassis types. And at the very bottom of this list sheet, it also indicates where your VIN number would be located, the type of vehicle this is, and any other additional information regarding fluid, capacities, and components for your apparatus. On the right-hand side, or correction, the left-hand side, right-hand side of the image there is your height, length, and gross vehicle weight rating. Please take note of these before operating the vehicle. Also take note of any of the color-coded warning and hazard labels located throughout the apparatus. This is your shore power auto charge to give you an idea of the status of your battery. Foot switch for the mechanical swile on the left-hand side. There is also access for moving the seat forward and backwards, and also air operated. General view of the driver's side looking in. Down at the very bottom in the silver is the quarter turn power switch, which is your battery switch. Just to the right of that is the diagnostic import, where you would plug in to gather diagnostic information. Above from that is the ignition switch, and just above that is the start switch. Moving in toward the steering wheel, this is your emergency master, in addition separate from the emergency master above your head. And this is the on-off for your headlights, and just to the right of that is the dimmer switch, which is a rocker for your dash lights. This is also the push-pull for the telescoping of your apparatus steering wheel. This is the left and right turn signal and brights. This is your road to pump. When you activate this road to pump, make sure that you follow the instructions listed on this label. You'll get indicator lights which say pump engaged, and it is okay to pump. Up above that is the high idle switch, which allows you to engage high idle. It also has an OK high idle indicator, allowing you to see the ability to go into high idle. On the right-hand side is the right mirror and left mirror, and this is the convex mirror and main mirror. To the left-hand side, just once again, this is the ignition switch. Moving up from that ignition switch is the start switch. This is your parking system. This is the maxi brake. It's the yellow handle. To the very top of the panel is your Lynden Code 3 PA system. There is a blank space for additional electronics. To To the right-hand side of that is your windshield wiper. Push to have fluid dispersed onto the windshield. Below that is the Allison transmission pad. Moving to the rocker set of switches there that you notice just above the Allison transmission pad, this is the engine brake on-off switch. This is the section where you choose to have your engine brake on low, medium, or high. The red switch indicating the siren brake. And moving to the next switch over is the air horn at the very top, and switch down to the bottom for the electronic air horn. This is an indicator light switch for mirror heat, and on the very right hand side is your load manager on-off switch. This is climate control for the front cab. Overhead, this is going to be over the operator driver section. There are three sets of panels, and all those panels and rocker switches. We'll go into those in more depth here shortly. Looking at the left-hand side is a master switch for emergency master. Moving from that is your roof light, front warning, side warning, lower and rear warning, and upper and rear. Moving to the center panel is the front flood, driver pull flood, passenger pull flood, driver rear body, passenger rear, and rear scene. There's also an additional place for future switches if you need to, and this is also the location to indicate where the Opticom switch is located. Just above the driver and the passenger head, there are push white and push red lights. Directly behind the driver's seat is a shore outlet power, which offers 110 shore power to power the auto charger for your batteries. Once again, take note of the warning and caution labels located throughout the various rigs. There are a variety of handles. There are the grip handles on the right-hand side, in addition with a cloth handle in the front. This is a generalized view of the rear seats of your SCBA seats to the rear of the apparatus. Please seek the owner's manual for more information on those types of SCBA seats. This is center console with adjustable shelving and LED lighting. Once again, over the passenger's head, both right and left, there are push red, push white on-off switches. Looking at the passenger side of the vehicle, same thing. You have grip handled and also the red handle there in the middle for entering and exiting the vehicle. Once again, there are warning labels on the passenger side. You can make note of those also. As you look inside the cab, you'll see a variety of different access points for labels indicating for caution and warning. Please pay close attention to those and also seek your owner's manual for more information. The warning switch behind this plate here indicates that there are wires back there and not to be drilling into those sections without examining and evaluating what's necessary. Above the passenger's head, you have a variety of different rocker switches. In those rocker switches, you have a variety of different open areas where you can put future switches. On the right-hand side is the red switch, which is the air horn switch, and then there are future switches also available in this location. These are blanks for adding of future switches. You also have direct battery access for 12-volt power. There are 3 access points for this. This is the fill for your front windshield wiper, and just down below is the electronic siren. Congratulations on your new apparatus, job number 30518. If you have any questions regarding this piece of equipment or any of this discussion in this, please contact your sales representative for Hughes Fire Equipment. Thank you.